What up, everybody? How's it going? How's it going? We're in season 10 of Smite. We've been playing for about a week, and today we got our bonus update notes to find out what the heck is going to get nerfed. Because we know, our boy Surtur, a little too strong, along with some other items and gods. So let's jump right in, find out what's being nerfed, talk about the dev notes, talk about my thoughts, and kind of go from there. We are getting a pretty sick Geb skin, though. Ice Wraith Geb, looking real good. Makes me feel bad for doing 28 ranked wins in that last week of season 9, but it's fine. It's fine. We're getting our fix to multi-queue. Fixed an issue with Conquest multi-queue, not assigning players a role in the pre-match lobby, and along with a couple other things here. And then there's some general gameplay. Conquest fixed an issue where Titan was not receiving stacks of health and protections for alive friendly structures, and it fixed an issue where Bastions could be healed by god abilities. Bastions now have 90% heal reduction applied. That is wild. We were actually talking about this last night on my stream, like if you could heal Bastions, how OP that would be. Fun fact, it was in the game. Who knew? Gods, we had Surtur. There was imps that landed from his ultimate could proc in-hand item effects, along with Cannoneer's Cuirass. I don't know if you've seen this item, comment below, because I have not seen this thing be played. Change the radius the allies receive bonus gold from killing a minion with the passive from 30 to 80 units. This is a drastically good change. In Heroism, they fixed the icon. There was a little bit bugged if you ever checked your Smite Guru and stuff. It was not working correctly. I think a game was a little bit off as well. So for Conquest, Titan, they fixed the issue, which I mentioned above with the HP increase, but this was fixed in the earlier hotfix, but they're just re-mentioning it for clarity. That hotfix, I believe, came out yesterday. I'm recording on a Wednesday. I believe it came out on Tuesday, January 31st. They also nerfed speed buff. They said with a few days of official gameplay on the new map, some patterns are starting to emerge. Junglers have shown to be hugely impactful due to strong buffs in multiple ways. As an initial response to this, they're going to test nerfing speed buff's base movement speed. By a noticeable amount, this tends to be a strong contributor, and so we want to address it first and then revisit their top items and gods later after assessing the effects of this change. So they're decreasing the movement speed from 14% to 10%. They said this is 14 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, 20% in total, to 10 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 to 16% total. Reminder, the two speed buffs on the map do not stack with each other. This is going to be a drastic change. If you watched the Salt tournament last weekend, you've been playing Conquest, you've been watching my streams, we've seen junglers just feel really, really strong and impactful in the game. And it is, a known thing. Part of that is their movement and ability just to get around the map so quickly. That's why we're seeing things like Mercury, Fenrir's been popping off, Thanatos, Fenrir not so much with the movement speed, but Mercury and Thanatos do have movement speed and kits, so it's going to be feeling pretty good. We're going to see a nerf to the Claw Shard. Magical power and physical power buff is going to get dropped by 5 on each. This is a really strong shard, as are all of them, but being able to get an offensive power spike and get lifesteal is pretty good. So they're just tweaking it down a little bit. Sundering Axe. They talk about Warriors/Solo, by most accounts, are the strongest class/role in 10.1. I would highly agree. The data mostly backs this up, and we have a series of changes that will affect the class/role. Some of these changes are stretched into Guardians and Assassins, depending on the build preferences. But in general, they all serve similar goals. Bringing down damage potential of these classes, Sundering Axe is the first in the series. They decreased the current health steal from 4% to 3%. Haven't seen a ton of Sundering Axe. It is good, but I think the bigger problem here is the next item, Bluestone. Bluestone, this has become a problem starter item in 3 roles. You're talking about playing it on carries, you're talking about playing it in jungle, you're talking about playing it in solo. When it's getting played in 3 different roles and it's the solo starter item or ability hunter starter item, that's pretty crazy. So they decreased the bonus damage from 60 to 48, and they decreased it from 15 per tick to 12 per tick. This will apply to Bluestone Brooch as well. They say the 15% current health bonus damage scaling will now apply to gods only. It will not apply to minions as it was doing before. Contagion, what I like to call the most OP anti-heal item. This thing is cracked. They're decreasing the damage per tick, which is magical damage, mind you, which is why a lot of people have been building on Surtur, because you can get magical damage off of his 1, and then you can do Contagion, you can do Mystical Mail, and now you're stacking magical damage, and that feels pretty good. But they talked about, this item is applying to multiple gods, it is a bit of a problem. So they're nerfing the damage protect by 5. This should kind of help out a little bit. Archdruid's Fury, they talk about the final bonus damage nerf for tank items is in their signature one. This item can build up into huge hits as was intended, but the true damage left the item largely uncounterable. This item will now be magical damage, which will deal less damage and be something opponents can potentially build to counter as well. So this item now deals bonus magic damage instead of true damage. Again, when you're talking about magical damage and you're building this on gods that don't deal magical damage, it's kind of crazy. But I think this is a good change, and this is healthy for the game. Being able to just smack somebody for true damage is kind of wild. Tablet of Destinies, they increase the damage per stack from 0.08% to 0.14%. I think this is good. We're not really seeing this item built a ton, and when it is, it hasn't been feeling great. So they're talking about, Tablet's a powerful item, but requires a lot of focus and patience to stack, so they want the damage to feel rewarding when that happens. Going into the god buffs, if you've seen the thumbnail, I have a hammer, the Nerf hammer, on Surtur, because he is getting nerfed. He is the newest god to Smite. He is kind of insane. I think a lot of that has to do with people not knowing how to play against him yet, as most new gods that's the case. But he is strong. So they're talking about the big numbers, possibly because warriors in general are really, really good. So Surtur feels a cut above the rest of his class. And lore aside, we do not want him to be closer and balanced to the rest of the gods. He's getting 2 key nerfs, one on his tankiness and the other on his damage to bring him down across the board. Obsidian Flesh decreased the protections buff from picking up a fragment to 10 to 6, so he's going to lose some prots. And then Emberwalk, they decreased the base damage from 45 to 125 scaling to from 35 to 115 scaling. So they're taking 10 off each time, and this can only trigger twice per fire of this ability. Maui finally getting hit, dude. This god has been so good in support. We saw it at Worlds, we've seen it in casuals. This god's strong. So they said, this new god made a huge impact at Worlds and continues to be the top pick amongst highest skill levels. Maui brings a wide variety of supportive features to his team. So similarly to Surtur, he is seeing nerfs across multiple abilities. He'll provide less movement speed, deal less damage, and have longer ult cooldown in order to give other supports a fighting chance against him. Agra had a really funny tweet about nerfing Maui because this is like his first god. If you scroll down Agra's Twitter a little bit, it's pretty good. But Mystical Alua is getting decreased movement speed from 8 to 16%, now to 8 to 12%. Slight change there. Solar Swing, they increased the base damage from 110 to 335 scaling to 90 to 315 scaling. That's his damaging ability. This is going to feel good. That needed to happen. Landfall, I was amazed when they released Maui that this ultimate was a 90-second cooldown. The fact it's getting changed to 110 is going to feel really good. It needed to happen. You're talking about something that can just completely shut off part of the map. It can pull 5 people. It's a wall. It's just really, really strong. For that to be a 90-second cooldown ult is kind of insane. Glad to see Maui becoming more in line. I'm curious to see, does this really hurt his pick potential? Because I think his kit's just good as a support. Even when you're nerfing damage, the movement speed, and the cooldown, I think he's still just a top pick support. We'll just have to see. Our boy Kurnanos has been outperforming. And what's wild to me is we're getting hunter nerfs, and I don't think hunters are particularly good right now. And that comes from someone that is playing ADC. I think I've played every role except for mid on the new map, and jungle feels good, solo feels good, support feels good. Mid seems like it's pretty good, but I don't know. Something about hunter feels really off right now. I think it's a lot to do with their build path, and I think it's just going to take some getting used to. So the last 2 nerfs are both hunters. It's going to be the top 2 hunters that we've seen, Kurnanos and Ishtar. They do need the nerf, so I'm not mad about either of these. They talked about these hunters dominated last season. They dominated at Worlds, so hunters might need some more help overall as a class from 10.1, but these 2 are still top performing, so they wanted to just nerf them a little bit. Kurnos losing some of his burst in Bramble Blast, again, scaling from 70 to 210, now 55 to 195. I think that's a perfectly fine nerf. Ishtar, she gets a lot of lane pressure. She has a lot of objective clear, so they're nerfing imbued arrows spread shot, which is like the shotgun one and it's going to be from 5 to 10%, now to 5 to 8%. Strike shot decreased the damage from 14 to 30. Now is 18 to 28. Both of these, again, I think these are both healthy changes for these gods and needed to happen. but I'm really curious to see in 10.2 what's the plan to kind of help ADC out, because right now it doesn't feel great. And I think there's just some item changes that might need to happen there because the builds are just a little bit strange. Other than that, I think this is a great patch for a bonus patch after Season X has started. We've, still got a bunch going on. I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff that feels really strong and OP, but nothing that I can really think of. I think if I was to talk about what I wanted to see changed, these are all the things I'd want to see. Excited to see what 10.2 holds. Well, I guess we'll find out about that in a week or two, and you'll have to come back and watch then. But as usual, thank you all for coming to hang out. Thank you all for coming to watch and listen. Take it easy, and I'll see you all in 10.2. Bye.